أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
पनाह मांगता हूँ अल्लाह की शैतान मरदूद से।
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
अल्लाह के नाम से जो रहमान और रहीम है।
औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबिया'i वल मुरसलीन व खातिमिन नबिय्यीन। Brothers and sisters of Islam, welcome to this program of Faith Forum. Today, we who live in Europe have an issue with our dietary requirement that Islam's mandatory order amongst the wajibat is that we must eat our food, our meat, which is halal. There are two aspects of it to discuss. One is the theological, religious orders provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us through the Quran and Hadith, which makes mandatory to us to follow the rules. The other is practicality of halal food, especially for those who live outside the Muslim world, i.e. like us in Europe. It is a phenomenon that brings all of us into thinking, is it possible in this Western world to practice our faith and stick to our dietary requirements as well? To discuss this proposition and to discuss the practicality of halal food in Europe, I have with me a very important personality in the food industry, our brother Muhammad Salim, who is in a way a communications officer, a PR officer, and a person to hold dialogue with internally and externally in this industry, especially in Britain, here in Birmingham, but right across Europe. He is no other than brother Muhammad Salim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, Dr. Saab, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to discuss the halal matters in Europe.
In reality, the opportunity and honor is for me and especially the audience watching this program. Brother Salim, when we came with our baggage from different parts of the Muslim world, be it India or Pakistan or Africa or Middle East, whatever, we brought with us lots of hope, and with that hope was, yes, we are leaving our homes, but we are going somewhere that has or is known as the land of freedom of practice, and we shall, inshallah, be able not only to practice the rituals of Islam, but actually also follow the real dictates or the wajibat or the necessity that distinguishes a Muslim from non-Muslim, a believer from non-believer, a believer who believes in not only the Quran as the word of Allah, but also practices within the teachings of Quran, and above all the practices whatever our great Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Aimma left for us. Just to begin with, what alarmed me most was in Holland and a little before that in Denmark, the banning of our ritual way of halal food, described as a cruelty to animal. And therefore, to discuss this, I will ask the audience that we will ask Brother Salim about his views and news both on this topic. But before that, I would ask you, the audience, if you have any questions and queries, if you have any problematic issues to discuss on this topic, please do not hesitate to give us a call. The number is at the bottom of the screen. And for a few moments, we will take a brief break and then inshallah have you on the air and have your questions ready for us to answer and discuss. Thank you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to this program of Faith Forum. Once again, we are discussing a very important issue of our dietary requirement, i.e. of Muslims in Europe, and that pertains to the way we have our meat in the halal format, so that we follow the rituals according to our Islamic laws. We have also, of course, another guest of ours, which I could not introduce to you before. I forgot. Our brother's name is Abu Isa Asif. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Brother Asif. You are also, I presume, related to the what you call meat industry or the poultry industry, or we are related to the issues which pertains to availability of halal products in Britain in particular and Europe in general.
Yes, definitely. I've been in the halal field for the last 4 or 5 years, quite intensely involved with the halal certification bodies, with halal in the way it's consumed, with about the industry, about the marketing aspect of it, and I'm informed on the global effect of halal and the issues that are involved with halal.
Okay.
So yes, I've been in it for quite a while.
Mashallah. Brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His creation created millions and billions of things, and a lot of them are available for us to see, know and understand, which pertains to the living creatures and non-living things that Allah created. And amongst the living ones, He created them for the benefit of mankind. And in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it is for your benefit. And the animals and plants which Allah gave to us is in the form of Allah's bounty on this earth. And the animals from chicken, lamb or beef, whatever, Allah created millions of them, yet there was a proviso. And the proviso was, O mankind, this is my creation and it is my gift to you. But when you are about to partake it, take it with thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with His name in particular, that what you are taking, right, with the wishes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus, not only at the time of the Prophet, but from the time of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, it is not a new phenomenon. Allah made some things halal, Allah made some things haram. I.e., Allah said, this is the way you can have it, but there is a special requirement. And there are special items that I have forbidden. Allah has given us many billions and billions of gifts on this great earth of ours. And there are only few, a very minute few He has banned, and there are very minutely, very few He has said, I would prefer that you abstain. And there are very few, right, He has said that you mustn't go near it. And He has allowed the innumerable, uncountless number of gifts of His for us to have freely. It is for us to see that we behave like obedient children of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we came, Brother Salim, from Pakistan, India and the places, we came with the hope that we will continue this practice. But as I said to you before, when I heard in Netherlands, in Holland, the practice of eating of halal product produced in Holland was banned under the banner of cruelty to animal. Is it true?
Yes, there are certain forces within the European and the Western countries that are trying to ban not just halal but also kosher, which is a Jewish method for their religious dietaries. Now, what they try to do is cover it under the pretext of animal welfare, which we both ourselves and our counterparts, the Jewish community, put forward a valid scientific and theology forward to them, that if you are really concerned about animal welfare, then you should be spending your time a little bit more wisely looking at the real issues that are actually within the industry. Example we gave of the chickens, the examples we gave of the lamb and other animals, is that there's tail ducking, which they don't seem as cruel to animal welfare.
What is tail ducking?
Tail ducking is that they cut the tail of an animal and without any anesthetic whatsoever. There's the other issue of debeaking, which they cut off the beaks of the birds without any anesthetic or any medicine. There's fishing, there's hunting, but they wanted to focus on just halal and kosher for the simple reason, if you followed the media campaigns in the Western and even here in the UK, anything to do with the Prophet ﷺ is they've tried to attack, whether it's hijab, whether it's the building of a mosque, whether it's a minaret, or whether it's halal. Now, we are very fortunate here in the UK that we are governed by legislation, and in that legislation we have a clear-cut protection against in favor of our dietary regulations and laws. And those regulation and legislation state quite clearly, and under those we are protected, that for the food for the Jews and the Muslims is to be without stunning. We are legally operating in the UK under the Food Standard Agency's guidelines and under DEFRA's guidelines. Our abattoirs that we have are operating within the boundaries of the law. Where they state that there's the issues of animal welfare, we have highlighted, I give you a simple example, that we are advised by the divine power that if killing is to be done, we are to do it in the best possible manner. Not to sharpen the knife in front of the animal, because not does it only is cruel, but it is mentally cruel. We are killing the animal before we actually slaughter. So that is something that we actually adhere to as our Islamic teachings. We are not to slaughter one animal in front of the other, which is again mental torture to the animal. So highlighting some simple issues that we adhere to, we've managed to safeguard and sustain the change of the legislation which was due to happen in 1st of January 2013, and with the view that we are protected not just under the legislation, but in the United Nations Charter we are protected. We can live freely within all the countries who have actually signed up to the United Nations. So the issue is that we as Muslims are not aware of the law that protects us to eat, produce, whatever, and practice our beliefs according to our religious needs. So it is important that we know. I'll give you an example how we are protected if those simple guidelines were to be followed by the local authorities or food standard agencies. Dr. Sahab, in 2003, the food standard agencies issued guidelines for the halal industry. Those guidelines took over 5 to 6 years in completing, and within consultation with various stakeholders within the Muslim community, which included, if I'm able to name, Muslim Council of Britain, various other abattoirs, all the schools of thought, and they came up with a simple guideline. And if these guidelines were to be followed, we would have no contamination of any horse meat, no contamination of any pork DNA, because these guidelines form the lowest common denominator for officers to do the investigation where halal food claims are made, whether it's an abattoir, whether it's a shop, or whether it's a business. So what we have done as an organization, and if it's okay with yourself for me to mention the name of the organization.
Yes, okay. Go ahead.
Dr. Sahab, in 2011, we formed an organization called Association of Non-Stun Abattoirs. Although it's an industry organization, what our chairman decided that the issue regards to halal and our dietary laws is far bigger than one abattoir and far bigger than the whole of the industry put together. So my remit was basically to create awareness of what is halal to the Muslims and to the non-Muslims, looking at the industry and the government agencies who actually are in charge of the food industry, food standard agencies, ABLEX, DEFRA. So what we have done is working with various different faith communities, come together and formed an alliance to say the issue at play is not simply about halal, it is about the dietary needs of all the multi-faiths who live within the UK. Now, not many people are aware that it is a legal obligation for the government to make sure that no food is adulterated in any form.
Or contaminated.
Or adulteration means mixed. Contamination, yes, is a good word that I would have led on to, that no food is contaminated. Now, it doesn't mean just for the Muslims or the Jews, it means no food is contaminated for everybody, the consumers of the UK. Now, that is the obligation upon the government. How do they actually discharge their duty? They discharge their duty by following their own guidelines. Unfortunately, those guidelines are not being followed. I would put it down to clear-cut discrimination to the Muslim community in this particular case, and leading on to Islamic phobia, because there is no other reason.
Just 1 second. On that very issue, let me put that question straight to our brother here, Abu Musa, that what our brother here said, that there is a guideline to follow. But Abu Isa, a lot of people in this country, Muslim people, are very skeptical about this issue and doubt this issue. What they say is that your associations or your associations are saying one thing, but in practice something different or even totally different is happening, because issues have been raised and some have brought it to my humble attention as well, that they say that we are of the non-stunt association,
Yes.
right? But when we go to the industry where, for example, you say you are from the poultry industry, is a good example, where the birds are stunned first and then halal thereafter, which once they have been stunned, they have already bypassed the Islamic, what you call, obligations, right? And that yet your association doesn't, what you call, bring to the highlight that these abattoirs or these, what you call, poultry farms or whatever, are actually serving us with misinformation and a wrong product. Is it true?
Okay, firstly, I'd like to say that I do not work with anybody who is inhumane to an animal. Second point here is that the people that I work for, they are Christians. They are giving us authentic halal to the Muslim community. The Muslims are not giving us halal to the Muslim community in the poultry industry. There's 100% non-stun abattoir which is HMC approved and one which is non-HMC. Both are doing halal. One is a Muslim, one is a non-Muslim, a Christian. Now what I'm saying here is, shame on us Muslims that a non-Muslim, a Christian has to look at the community and say, you need this for your dietary requirements. So basically these people are supplying us halal which is non-stunned. With regards to stunning, if you stun an animal prior to slaughter, one, it could die. There's a very high percentage of dying. There's about 95% to 99% chance of it dying. If it doesn't die, there's something called salt and pepper hemorrhaging, where blood in the veins will rupture.
Yes.
And also dangerous toxins released into the body. If the heart is not pumping and the heart has collapsed and died, how do you expect all this dangerous
blood to outflow,
all these toxins to flow out the body? Inevitably, the Muslim and the non-Muslim are consuming this. This has been prohibited, and this is why when we go back to Adam alayhi salam, to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see the method of slaughter has always been one way.
Yes, but that's beautiful words for you to utter
Yes.
and say,
Yeah.
but in practice, Abu Isa,
Ji.
right, you are holding some position where you claim that you have the right information, and yet you're not passing us to us by us, I mean the Muslim community at large, that where the chicken, the beef, the lamb we buy is halal and where it is not. If we don't know and all we go to the Muslim butcher or even to a supermarket and we see a halal label there,
Yes.
we invariably, unknowingly, right, go and consume things which are, astaghfirullah, not halal.
I will say the word halal, it now carries a big question mark. As my listeners, my dear listeners will be watching, my dear viewers will be watching, I would say to them, question mark, big question mark on halal. Henceforth, when you go to purchase halal meat and chicken, don't ask if it's halal. You're asking the wrong question, because Muslims are confused.com. They do not understand what is halal and what is non-halal. Ask them, is this stunned or is this non-stunned? You will find out which is halal or not. According to me, anything which is stunned is haram, because from the Sunnah we do not see this. This is an innovation. There's many evidences to prove from an Islamic point of view, which we probably do not have time to go into, why I would refer to this as being haram. Secondly, we have been working tirelessly for 3-4 years. Answer, Brother Salim, prior to being the spokesman for Answer, I have tirelessly done 3 or 4 years on radio in Birmingham. I've been on TV regularly. We've sat only a few weeks ago in the House of Lords discussing this issue where mass media were present. Brother Muhammad Salim spoke very deeply on this issue and very emotionally on this, that us Muslims are consuming contaminated chicken, poultry, meat, and yet we have no bother. This affects our ibadah, this affects our deen, this affects our lives, but we have no concern. We say in Ramadan you're consuming haram or meat that is contaminated, and we have no concern.
Yes, but Brother Salim, for example, we come to know about certain things and issues only when unwittingly, unknowingly, by mistake, it lands up on the lap of the media, right? Not our media, in general media. For example, the contaminated what you call Muslim meat having no even pork, 5, 10, whatever percentage it is, pork and horse meat unslaughtered in the Muslim way in the schools and in teaching institutions. Now you go and ask the parents of those children, how do they feel about it? But we believe that Brother Salim, it is you and Brother Abu Musa, it is your duty. If you have the responsibility, then the public, the Muslim public, will hope, inshallah, especially in future, you will discharge your duties and take your responsibility seriously to advise public. The public, general public and us, that we go to the Muslim butcher to buy, we don't know that the mince meat they are selling is even contaminated or not contaminated. Number one. Number two, is stunned or not. They don't have any, I have not seen any Muslim butcher shop saying, come here, this is a non-stunt chicken, beef or lamb. If you show me one, I will be glad to make that public.
One is we have the answer, and also we have HMC approved in the butchers. We have a certificate.
Okay, let me hear from you.
I'll answer that. I agree with you totally that we are misinformed. One of the aims of the Association of Non-Stun Abattoirs was to create a better understanding and awareness on the issue of halal. Now, we started with a campaign called You Are What You Eat. So, if we're not eating halal, how do we expect or feeding our children halal? How do we expect our children to do halal duties? It's virtually impossible. So, yes, you mentioned that how are we, you say one thing, but we find other things. One thing you will find with the Association of Non-Stun Abattoirs members, that one of the criteria with our membership is that we will only work with full production, 100% non-stun, any stunning equipment to be found on site, we delist the abattoir, because as I mentioned earlier, the issue is far bigger than one abattoir and far bigger than the whole of the meat industry. So we will do that without any questions, and we will not bring that abattoir back to our membership unless we have given them enough enough time of audit just to make sure that that will not ever happen. Now, how do we guarantee that? It's impossible. Experience dictates, and the mainstream media has proved this to us. The reason that we've found contamination within our products is not because it has been the full-time producers of halal, which claim non-stun, that has brought the industry into disrepute. It has been the businesses that manufacturers and businesses who have been certified as part producers of halal. Now, the food standard agencies released a statement, and is available widely on YouTube, that when the horse meat scare came about and pork DNA, they made a statement to state that these people may not be deliberately putting pork into the food supply chain. They are using the same process lines for both halal and non-halal. Now, the irony of this is, if we speak to the food standard agencies, they tell us horse meat forms no health risk to human life, neither does pork, but to us is detrimental, that we are unconditionally prohibited from consuming pork or consuming anything that's haram. So coming back to what you've said.
Can you just stop there? Just let me give you an example, my apology. In United States of America, right, the French fries which McDonald's make was contaminated. It was fried in non-vegetable or animal fat oil, and it had the banner of being of vegetable sun, right? The Hindu community there found out, and they sued McDonald's for millions of pounds of damages. It's no good trying to tell us that horse meat has no ill effects on people's health, right? That's not good enough.
Yes, it's good enough for you to say that to me, but the agencies that we need to be tackling with is the food standard agencies. It's their legal responsibility to make sure that no food is adulterated. I'm very sorry to sit here and say that we have a weakness within our Muslim community and the Ummah. We will point fingers, but will not get off our rear ends to take some action. Yes, you're right. Some communities do take action and they take the issues very seriously. You mentioned the Hindu community. A Muslim in America have taken Big Mac to
They have.
and they've won out of court. Now the example and what we should be using there, that our children are being fed pork, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally in schools. We have been fed with pork, whether it was intentional or unintentional. We are covered under the law, but nobody is willing to come forward. Dr. Saab, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody's prepared to die. We need to find somebody who wants to take a lead on this and take action. Yes.
Lead, my brother Salim, are the people like yourselves who are working in industry. In my humble view, is lead must be taken by people like yourselves, but also by taking the community with you.
Of course.
Yes. Now, Brother Abu Isa mentioned that when we are actually using the wrong words or asking for the wrong things when we do go to our shopkeepers. If you ask for halal, no Muslim brother who's a butcher or a retailer will say to you, he's selling you haram. Where we are protected as Muslims and consumers, that if you were to go and ask the shopkeeper for stunned, if that is your choice, they have to give you that. If you ask for non-stunned, they have to sell you non-stunned. Now, if they sell you anything other than that, then the law kicks into action under the the Trade Misdescription Act and mislabeling, and the action can be taken. Unfortunately, we assume that when a brother Muslim says it's halal. Proven fact in the media with the latest testing that is not the case. We are our own worst enemies as far as that is concerned. I totally agree with you. Yes, we have brought forward information for people to take and to use in their favor or for their benefit. If they're not prepared to use that information, we have said time and time again that the government research shows that over 90% of the meat destined for the halal community is stunned. And this is one of the issues that we had to tackle when we did our consultation with
If
DEFRA.
90% are stunned, then Abu Isa, brother, why can't you and Brother Salim here declare to the Muslim community, look, the only places that practice non-stunned, proper, paka halal procedure are these abattoirs or companies, number one. And number two, we have got 20,000 or whatever butchers in all over Great Britain, right? And of them, these are the ones who buy from stunned places, and these are the ones who buy from non-stunned places. Then the public will be at ease.
Dr. Saab, just on that note, we did a campaign during the month of Ramadan. Our campaign was, you are what you eat. And we introduced a word that a generation of my age would understand. We informed the community that the stun, which you don't understand, is a word that's commonly used in the Indian subcontinent as jatka. Jatka is stunned. And as a result of that campaign of awareness, we didn't say who does what, go to that shop and complain. We said, you ask the butcher, is it non-stunned? Then you decide. Don't argue. The butcher's relationship with you is not of the Muslim as he claims to be, but it is of a piece of paper that has the Queen's photograph on it. You walk away, the butcher will have no choice but to provide you what you're asking for.
But when we go to the butcher shop, when go to the poultry shop, and we ask for halal, all he says is...
Dr. Saab, you're asking the wrong question. You should ask stunned or non-stunned.
All he says, well, I don't know. I am supplied by my supplier who
Doc-
says it is halal.
Dr. Saab, if he says, I don't know, you walk away because he knows exactly what he's selling you.
Can I answer this question? But living in Birmingham, it's more easier to find halal than anywhere else in the UK. Because I made hijrah to Birmingham from outside, from up north in Manchester, because halal was vague, halal wasn't unavailable, and I'd realized, wait a minute, this halal word is the most abused word. Moving to Birmingham, we have about 4 or 5 abattoirs which are non-stun, part of the Answer members. We need to ask the slaughterhouse, sorry, not the slaughterhouse. Well, yes, you can ask the slaughterhouse actually, who do you supply to? Give me a list of people you supply to. The red meat. Now we ask the poultry suppliers, who do you supply to? We know there's a shop here that does 100% non-stun. Then we ask the shopkeepers, are you not buying from any third parties? Are these 2 your slaughterhouses? And which ones do you buy from? They cannot act dumbstruck because they have to declare this to you because you're a consumer. 2, the point I want to go back to is Holland. Did you mention Holland?
Yes, I mentioned Holland.
A chicken run, 2003, where Panorama and the Food Standards Agency exposed to the Muslims and the UK people that you Muslims are consuming pig in your chicken. Thousands of tons of chicken were destined to the UK on a weekly basis. Going forward, last year, pig in pasties destined for the prison service. Pig sausages in Westminster schools. Pig in school meals in Birmingham.
Leicester.
Pig in
Leicester.
chicken burgers in Birmingham. Now we have the latest scandal in Birmingham, in Leicester.
Leicester.
So we have 10 years Mubarak to the Muslims. 10 years you sat idle, eating haram, khanzir, and this is the state you are at. And then you say to Allah, Ya Allah, make my ulad nek. Make my ulad, make
Let
my
me just take a call on this very issue. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, you've got a very good topic which every Muslim should be interested in. I was just hearing this program just now. I came inside. I think there should be a similar association like HMC or other, which should only have the listed non-stud providers. Then it will be more easier for the Muslim community to go to those particular butchers which have a sign of that particular organization which deals with non-stun halal meat only, Because usually an ordinary person will go and he will see a kalma on the shop or he will see some in Arabic or ayah and he'll ask for his halal, or sometimes they even don't ask because they think, it's Allah, Muhammad,
Yes.
and so it's automatically halal. So I think the association like our brothers over here, they should provide a certificate or something which says non-stun authorized, And then I think the people who go there automatically, they would know what to choose for,
Exactly. I'm glad that you have raised this question, and let me raise this to our 2 young brothers over here and see if they can provide that solution to the Muslim community, which is very anxiously, those watching this program and those not, are very worried that what we eat may not be what we think we eat.
And this is what I've been saying for the last 3-4 years. Brothers, sisters, be careful what you eat. Be careful what you eat.
Yes,
We're
but
saying
can you
it's
provide
halal.
us a list of abattoirs and a list of butchers certified where we can find those products?
Firstly, you go to the Answer website. You will find the locals. I'm talking about Birmingham in particular here. You will find that the local supply chain to the butchers is non-stun. But we are having some Habib people also importing from the other areas into Birmingham as well. Now this is contaminating the Birmingham region. We have the owners to ask this butcher, who is your supplier? And to be honest with you, nobody will deny who their suppliers are. You can only go as far as asking and doing your own research. There's a handful of trustable butchers in Birmingham. The rest of them are thieves.
Yes, but Birmingham doesn't make the whole of England.
No, of course not.
Right? And the concern
that.
is, for the rest of the place, Brother Salim, how can we satisfy our Muslim consumers?
There's a simple solution that we will work very closely with a number of certification agencies. One of them is HMC. They have done a wonderful job over the years, and they've brought the halal industry forward. That's a good thing I will say
What
about
does the
them.
HMC stand for?
It stands for Halal Monitoring Committee.
That's
Wonderful
Halal
Monitoring Committee. I say wonderful things about them, but they have to put their house in order now, because if you walk into a HMC shop, they make it quite clear that their butchers are not allowed to bring in any non-HMC products. Whereas I see this as a double standard, and we brought this up with HMC on many times. We have recorded documents on those notes, is that we've pleaded with them to please, we want more people to come into this industry, because number of abattoirs will not be able to meet the supply, demand of the supply that we have. So instead of certification given to part producers, encourage those producers to become full-time, or not. Part-time is not an answer for us, because halal is not a joke. It's not a let's try this industry and see if it works. Encourage people to become full-time producers
Of halal.
or of halal, and dedicated non-stunt producers, and only certify them. That is the solution. We as an organization can give you guarantee that at the point of slaughter, it was done according to the sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Once it leaves our abattoir, we cannot guarantee. One of the issues that we do have, when I mentioned we did a small campaign, as a result of 30 tons of chicken were taken out of just the Birmingham area, when the trading standard, somebody made a complaint, one of the listeners or viewers who saw our program made a complaint, and the investigation revealed that there were 6 businesses, or maybe 7 in Birmingham, which were raided. Unfortunately, I can't name them for legal reasons. This is available on the public domain, on the media, internet search, you'll find out. 6 were caught with selling chickens that were not even fit for the main Gora market, the English market. Now the issue that we have, yes, we are let down by our own community. Our brothers will say that it is totally, they'll show you the HMC or non-stunt product, but what they will sell you is a different issue.
But it is, Brother Salim and Brother Abu Isa, it is the question of supply and demand and supply. You say there are only 2 abattoirs,
Sorry.
right? Also,
No, our members, we have 6 members at this moment in
Okay.
time. But let's not talk about 2.
Are they enough to supply the whole of the British community?
We are encouraging, no, they're not enough
They're
to
not
supply. If you look at the other side of the coin, Lord Nazir mentioned this on record, and he's done this over the last 10 years or so. Lord Nazir states that we've known for the last 25 years that the consumption is far greater than production. So let's take a certification body. I don't want to mention the name over and over again. A certification body that certifies their franchise, the input into that and the output out of that particular business. You do not need rocket science to say that, yes, Lord Nazir is right. Consumption is far greater than production. But how does that get into the food supply chain?
Exactly.
That is the responsibility where our certification agencies, who have got the resources and experience of the last 10 or 20 years, can come and do it for the sake of Ummah. I'm saying to your viewers of Hidayat TV that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we feed our children the products that's available to us, we don't know what it is. Is it horse meat? Is it donkey meat? What is it? It's labeled, we're sold. If we're not feeding our children, what do we expect our children to do? Are they going to perform halal duties? Is your ibadat going to be accepted? The important thing is that people don't realize that eating halal is ibadah in itself. It is part of our religion. Yes, this is why we were instructed by the divine powers that this is the method for you to source your food. And when we talk about halal, unfortunately today we're talking about halal meat, but the fact of the matter is halal is every second of our life, whether it's business, whether it's the clothes that we wear, whether it's the way that we conduct ourselves with our neighbors. It's all about halal. But we are focusing at this moment in time on just halal meat.
Brothers and sisters, unfortunately, the topic has got immense opportunity for further discussion. But we have come to the end of this program. Remember, if food that goes into your shikam, goes into your body, into your system, which is not halal, even our prayers, even our dua is not accepted when that happens. It is our duty and our responsibility to work with organizations which is headed by Brother Salim and Abu Isa over here, so that what we get and what we give to our children serve on the dastarkhan, on the table to our guests. We serve them with food with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us for the food we eat, we serve and we distribute. Inshallah, we shall meet again same time next week to discuss yet another important topic which we will have our guest to help us with. Thank you very much for watching this program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.